1, 2, 3, 4.
Chant down Babylon kingdom, team make we chant down Vatican now. Bang bling bling, chant down Babylon kingdom, team make we chant down Vatican now. Chant down Babylon kingdom, team make we chant down Vatican now. Bang bling bling, chant down Babylon kingdom, team make we chant down Vatican now.
What up, y'all? It's Babylon 5 Podcast. It's your boy, Jermaine Event. This is episode 153. Calling this bad boy Simpson. Alright? Because I'm a pimp son and you're a simp son. I think that's Lil Wayne lyric. I believe so. I believe it's Lil Wayne, pardon me. As I want to say here, as I'm trying to figure out who said that line, yeah, that is Lil Wayne, or it's either Lil Wayne or Juelz. As I'm thinking, it was a song. I think it might have been Juelz Santana. The niggas started rapping the same after they hung out, started doing cocaine together. Then they started rapping the same ad libs, and it was weird. Anywho. This is episode 153, Simpson. How has your week been? I hope your week has been phenomenal. And I hope this week here is even better than the last, ladies and gentlemen. We are calling this bad boy Simpson for a reason. We'll get into that at the end of the show, ladies and gentlemen. If you want to go ahead and fast forward to the whatever mark. I don't know whatever mark, my nigga. This is live. Well, I mean, it's live as I'm recording it here. I don't know at what point I'm going to babble about that. You know what I'm saying? I'll get to it when I get to it, ladies and gentlemen. Well, actually, I mean, you're going to know what the last topic is. I'm going to let you know right now that we are going to talk in this. We're going to react. I'm going to react a little bit to UFC London. We just had UFC London, headlined by Tom Aspinall versus Curtis Blades. We also on that card had Paddy the Baddie versus Jordan Levitt. We're going to talk about that. Talk about Alexander Gustafsson versus Nikita Krylov. I might even mention a few other fighters if you're lucky. If I just, I don't know, feels like honestly where I am with time. I think that'll be the biggest factor for what we do. But we're also going to talk about this upcoming card, UFC 277, headlined by Juliana Pena versus Amanda Nunes 2. Juliana Pena is set to defend her belt against Amanda Nunes. And in the co-main event, you have another rematch for the interim flyweight championship. I believe flyweight championship. Brandon Moreno versus Kai Kara-France 2. We're going to get the rematch there. And also, another fight I find interesting on that card, Magomed Ankalaev versus Anthony Smith. And before we get out of here, ladies and gentlemen, my lovely wife and I, we went and saw the movie Nope. I'm going to give you guys some thoughts that I had about the movie Nope. I don't know if I'm going to give you too much. Well, I'm going to talk about it because I got a theory about it, and so I'm going to give you some things. So right now is a spoiler alert for my theories on the movie Nope, because we're going to talk about it, ladies and gentlemen. I'll try to give you all another spoiler alert when we get there, and when we get there, I'll let you know. But for the time being, if you guys would like to follow this podcast on Instagram and Twitter, it's at Babylon5Pod. You guys could follow my personal accounts. Or no, I don't do that anymore. You guys can email this podcast at Babylon5podcast@gmail.com. If you guys want to hit that like button anywhere that you're listening to this podcast, I appreciate you so much. If you guys would like to follow your boy on Twitch. So I keep being like, man, maybe I should just get the Twitch shit out of here. Because, like, I don't know. I don't be streaming like that. But then homie at work Homie Deshaun just told me some shit about this game called Multiverses. Maybe you guys have heard of it. But you got to go on Twitch and watch like a stream for about an hour. Then you get a code to play the beta for whatever system you choose it for. So I'm trying to do that and maybe get on this Multiverses shit because that shit sound pretty cool. So yeah, follow your boy at twitch.tv/Babylon5 to watch your boy playing that Multiverses. It's just I meant to watch a stream today. I gotta look into it. But anywho, if you guys would like to purchase some merchandise, head on over to teespring.com/store/Babylon5pod. No, it's not. Let's go back. If you guys would like to purchase some merchandise, head on over to teespring.com/store/BOFpod-shop. And lastly, don't just be my Niji, be my patrons. Be my patron. Head on over to patreon.com/Babylon5pod. And you can be my patron today, ladies and gentlemen. You can be my patron today. I'm sure you can hear that. It's like the Blue Wings or whatever. It sounds like we're getting fucking bombed, nigga. Whatever that shit is called is at the beach right now. The air show is going on right now. I live like right by the beach, so yeah. We were sitting here like, what are they gonna do with this air show? They're gonna block off the street? Cause I seen it was like, my wife was telling me it was like $30 to park for the air show or to get into the air show. Like, it's like, what do you mean? I've been to the air show. We just go to the beach. But apparently we went by there. They blocked that shit off. Like, are you fucking crazy? You gotta pay $30 to get in there? Just go to the beach. Like it's fucking silly. My boy Brian, shout out to Brian, bartender over there at Easy Tire. He was talking about, he just mentioned, we were over there, he mentioned, he was like, I bet, like, these are military vehicles, so that means that, like, it's taxpayer money that, like, paid for this whole shit. And then now you have to, like, pay for tickets to go see this whole shit that you fucking fully funded. You should at least be able to go see the fucking air show for free. Like, but I actually don't want it at all. It's just fucking annoying, you know what I'm saying? It's annoying. And speaking of annoying, UFC London, the main event for 2 weeks in a row, for the second straight week, ends in the first round due to injury. In the main event. Jermaine Event. But it's like, it's annoying, but I was talking to my buddy at work the other day, because he was like saying he wants to go see a fight live, but it's just like too expensive. And I don't even think I've mentioned this to him, but it's like, yeah, it's expensive or whatever, but I mean, anything's expensive, whatever you want. I mean, it's as expensive as you want it to be. If you want good seats, then I guess it's a little more expensive than just buying a ticket for, like, just to go. You can buy one in the higher seats for, like, pretty cheap, if that's what you want to do. But if you're a brother like me, it's going to be pretty expensive to get there. But the number one thing is, like, this main event with Tom Aspinall and Curtis Blade lasted for 15 seconds before this injury took place. And I haven't even seen anything about what the injury is. Tom Aspinall throws a leg kick. He lands, and as he steps back, he just fell, grabbed his knee, and was like refusing to bend it for a while. He's sitting there, he's on the ground in agony, fucking grown man tears. It's 15 seconds into the fight. And that's one thing there that you have to accept as an MMA fan. You could spend $100 and sit up there in the nosebleeds. You could spend $1,000 and sit ringside. But you need to be prepared that, like, this Conor McGregor fight could end with him breaking his fucking leg, like, right away. in the first round. You know what I'm saying? It could end with Yair Rodriguez poking this person in the eye, like 30 seconds into the first round. Like this is just something you have to accept as a part of the sport. You know what I'm saying? It's something. It's very unfortunate because, as I've said here many times, Tanies, on this podcast, that Tom Aspinall, I felt, is of a higher level than most of the heavyweights. You know what I'm saying? I thought he was going to do big things here. And as I'm saying, we don't have really any information here on what the injury for Tom Aspinall is. We just know that he's hurt. So like, I don't know the timetable. I don't know what's the timetable of when he's coming back, and like what we can try to predict from how severe the injury is. You know what I'm saying? Maybe it's not that severe. It looks pretty severe. So it's a very unfortunate ending to the fight, to the main event in UFC London. But for the 15 seconds, what I want to say here is most important about that 15 seconds is Aspinall looked sloppy. All right, he's like rushing in and like getting touched. Like usually he's pretty patient, elusive, and he lets his speed. He'll slip punches and he'll let his speed take over the game. You know what I'm saying? He was getting touched up. Well, not touched up. It's only 15 seconds. But like right before he stepped back, Curtis touched that chin slightly. He just nicked him on the chin with a jab. I personally feel like him getting like touched, him getting hit like slightly like that definitely affected how he stepped back. Like I think that was definitely a factor in it. For me, I personally feel like he got hit. Like I think that definitely caused him to just jerk, to react weirdly. And then boom, freak accident. His knee pops out. So who knows what happens here? Obviously, as I'm saying, it's 15 seconds of a fight, so I don't think anyone's stock necessarily is hurt here. It's technically a TKO. It's a technical knockout for Curtis Blaydes. But we didn't get a fight here, you know? We didn't know, if the wrestling ever did come into play, what would have happened. Honestly, with how it looked in that first 15 seconds, ladies and gentlemen, I don't know if it would have even needed to go to the ground. Like, Aspinall was just coming forward recklessly. No real care for defense. He was just coming forward. It was 15 seconds, but I didn't like what I saw in those 15 seconds. But I hope he comes back better than ever. Curtis Blaydes is healthy. He was just talking shit with John Jones. Why not? If you can't get the Stipe fight going, why not have him fight Curtis Blaydes? I kind of would much rather... I would love to see Stipe versus John Jones any day. But I also would really like to see John Jones versus Curtis Blaydes. That's a fight I would like to see pretty soon in the future here. Paddy the Baddy. As I've said here, I did not get the hype for Paddy the Baddy. Even in this fight here with Jordan Levitt, I think it was a pretty good fight. It was a grapple-heavy fight, but there were some striking exchanges, if you will. Well, so Paddy, I don't know, Paddy just isn't the best striker. He he doesn't really have real distance management. He doesn't really set up his shots properly. So there are some concerns with Paddy's stand-up. But as we all should have known, his calling card, his jiu-jitsu, is pretty top of the line. He got Jordan Levitt's his arm. One of his arms was tied up in his body triangle. So he's sitting there with one arm trying to defend these chokes. And it's like at that point, he could have got a head and arm triangle choke on him. Or maybe head and arm guillotine. I don't know. I'm wrong. It's head and arm choke. Whatever. He could have got a head and arm choke in there. He was one-armed. He just sunk it in, choked him out, and then twerked a little bit. Twerked a little bit in Jordan Levitt's face. Because as we all know, Jordan Levitt, going into this fight, said he was going to come in there, get a finish, and then twerk and go home. Paddy the Baddy gets the finish and twerks and then went home, ladies and gentlemen. So Paddy was starting to win me over with that fight. I thought it was a pretty good fight. But then afterwards, in the post-fight interview, Paddy the Baddy dedicates that win to his friend. He said his friend had recently committed suicide. And he was saying how there's a stigma that men don't talk, and he's pleading that men, if you feel some type of way that you can't deal with it, like, and that you feel like the only way to deal with it is to harm yourself, please, like, talk to someone. You know what I'm saying? It was a real positive message from Paddy the Baddy. You know what I'm saying? So, like, Paddy's winning me over as a personality. I was saying, like, beforehand, I don't get the Paddy the Baddy hype. Guy at work who, my boy Hunter, who I was saying he wants to go see some fights. He doesn't watch week to week like your boy does. But he was asking me about Paddy the Baddy. He's asked me about Sugar Sean O'Malley before. He's asked me about the really popular dudes. But the fact that he just asked me about Paddy the Baddy, I was like, why do you know Paddy the Baddy, bro? Like, Paddy, like, I didn't understand the hype, but I mean, if you see how those crowds go for Paddy the Baddy out there in London, it's pretty nuts. I would love to see Paddy the Baddy fight out in London. It's nuts. It looks amazing. Like, the energy, the whole vibe out there looks pretty wild. I would love to be out there. Maybe one day. We'll see. I don't know who Paddy the Baddy is going to fight next, but with the hype that he has, I think there's you can't really just, like, there's no more slow roll. I mean, how you got Sugar Sean O'Malley, if you guys listen to my episode 152 and a half, 152.5, you would have heard that Sugar Sean O'Malley is fighting Petr Yan. There's no more slow roll for him, and there was a bit of a slow roll. Everybody was complaining, but I feel like with this popularity that you have with Paddy, with the way that he's getting all finishes in his fights, I think you have to, like, you have to give him a top 15 guy, maybe. Right? If not a top 15 guy, maybe a guy on the cusp. You know? Trying to find, there we go. Tapology, the best site in the world, ladies and gentlemen. Tapology is the best. See, it's what's crazy to me is that Paddy don't look like he fight in the weight class that he's in. Because when I look at Paddy, like, do you guys understand, like, you feel like Paddy moving up? Think about this. All right, let's look at the top 5. Let's look at the champion who has a name, Charles Oliveira, versus Paddy the Baddy. Charles would fuck Paddy up. Number 2, Dustin Poirier. Poirier would, honestly, in the stand-up, it's clearly, if it stays standing, Dustin will knock Paddy the Baddy out. But if they grapple, I don't think it looks too good for Dustin. I think that fight's 50-50. Islam Makhachev, I think he ragdolls Paddy the Baddy. Justin Gaethje, I'm not sure. I'm not sure how I feel about Gaethje these days. His grappling weakness there, and Paddy's a pretty slick grappler. He looks pretty powerful, but he's just wild with his striking. Let's look at the 15th fighter, rank 15. We got Brad Riddell versus Paddy. I think Riddell would fucking destroy him on the feet. Number 14. I would like to see this fight, ladies and gentlemen. How about for Paddy the Baddy's next fight, we do Paddy the Baddy versus Tony Ferguson. Who doesn't want to see that fight? Paddy the Baddy versus Tony Ferguson. What is this? You know what's crazy? I don't think these rankings have nothing to do with UFC rankings. Because I know a lot of people complain that Conor McGregor is like 12th on the UFC rankings. He's 33 in these world rankings. Maybe as he should be, given the losses and inactivity. He shouldn't be in the top 15. But why not do Paddy the Baddy versus Conor? Is that not the perfect fight? Paddy the Baddy, the up-and-coming guy versus a somehow still ranked Conor McGregor? Anywhere, that fight is gigantic. You put that fight in Madison Square Garden or some shit, that fight's gigantic anywhere, but like, what's the biggest spectacle you could make? I say put Paddy in there with Conor. I think Conor lights him up on the feet. I think Conor has better jits than people give him credit for. I think Paddy the Baddy versus Conor McGregor, right now is the time. Right now is the time. I think Paddy said he wants to fight later this year. I think the fight to make is Paddy the Baddy versus Conor McGregor, if we're being real right here. I would love to see Paddy. No, I think Paddy would get dusted up by Tony Ferguson, to be honest. That's a big boy. I think he would dust that boy up. Unfortunately, on this card also, we had Alexander Gustafsson, taking on Nikita Krylov, and right away Krylov was all over this man. He dropped him for the first time just 12 seconds into the fight. He just didn't give Gustafsson any chance to breathe. He's just all over him, just combinations. Overwhelmed Gustafsson and got the knockout of Alexander Gustafsson. Daniel Cormier is calling for Gus to retire. I think it is, man, because, like, I was like, whatever, man. Who is he to just be like, tell this man it's time to retire? But clearly, when you watch that fight, he can't take a punch. He's not taking a punch like he used to, man. He's getting hurt pretty quickly in there. Like, right away, he's getting hurt. I thought his fights at heavyweight were a mistake. I thought he still looks pretty good. I know he was pretty upset with himself when he ultimately lost to Anthony Smith, but I felt like he looked really good leading up to that point. You know? I felt like he looked pretty good leading up to that point. And then he moved to heavyweight for a couple fights. Maybe 3, but he didn't look good. I feel like he was like running from, was it Ben Rothwell? He was like literally running. It was like, yo, stop this fight. And now he just really can't, like, that chin is gone. All right? It's unfortunate. It is unfortunate for Gus, but I think it might be time for Gus to hang it up at 35. You know? It's unfortunate. It's a big Gus fan, but time. But this is the fight game. This is how it is. This is just how it is. Shout out to Nathaniel Wood, who had a great fight, just off the top of my head. Shout out to Molly McCann got another spinning elbow knockout. Yeah, shout out to all y'all. Shout out to Mark DeCasey. Dark horse out here in the UFC. Shout out to Mark DeCasey. We got UFC 277 headlined by Juliana Pena versus Amanda Nunes 2, the rematch. And, you know, as I said last week, like, the only way I see Miesha Tate getting the championship is if she delusions herself into a fight. If she Juliana Pena's herself into a fight, just does interviews like saying, Valentina's scared to fight me, blah, blah, blah. And, like, I love how once the fight was booked, everybody kept saying, like, well, after Juliana Pena beat Nunes, it was always like, everybody doubted her, and then she proved them wrong. They did not doubt her. We all said clearly, man, you're not the number one contender. Like, you're far in the rankings. You're too far in the rankings. And, like, and every time you've had a fight where it's like, oh, you win this fight, you're clearly the number one contender. You lost those fights. So she went on there to the interview with Ariel, delusioned herself into becoming the champion. And it's what you have to do. But one thing that Nunes has never acknowledged, as far as I've seen, she's not yet to this point acknowledged the fact that Juliana Pena was better than her on that night. I have not seen her acknowledge that truth. I've seen her basically, she's credited the loss to the fact that she had a knee injury during her training camp and that she decided to go ahead and fight anyway. She said, and I went in there and fought, and that cost me my championship. So, if that's her mindset going into it, and it's not her acknowledging that Pena was better than her that night, that she made some clear mistakes. She's throwing these big looping punches while Pena was just moving in and out, just great footwork, just touching her up. If she's not acknowledging that Pena was better, I think Pena will definitely get it done for a second time here. That's what I believe happens. I think Pena wins and solidifies that at least she's better. Well, she's just matched up perfectly. She's the person here that's delusional enough to think that, like, yo, I can go in there and beat her. And it's not like she didn't go in there. She did go out there and beat her, but everybody else was terrified. I think back on, like, when she fought Megan Anderson, how terrified Megan Anderson looked in there. Think about, like, all those girls. Think about how she battered Felicia Spencer. Think about how she knocked out Holly Holm. Think about all these ladies, man. And Pena was like, nah, she's scared of me. She's ducking me. She knows she can't beat me. And she went in there and beat her. And if Nunes feels like, no, she wasn't better than me that night, I beat myself by going in there hurt, by going in there with an injury. And not that she clearly, like, I just was rewatching the highlights of that. And it's like, you came on strong. I remember watching that fight, actually. And the smile on Nunes' face in the first round, when she thought she was in control of the fight, she had a huge smile on her face as she's coming forward. And the start of the second round, she looks fucking worried. It's a look that they had not seen on Nunes' face in a while. She looked worried. So I think she's going to come in there thinking she's still that person that can just use her Mike Tyson-like intimidation to beat her opponent before it gets started, but that's not going to happen here. It's not going to happen. I think Pena gets it done for a second time. Brandon Moreno versus Kai Kara France 2, ladies and gentlemen. You know, I would love for Kai to get a win here. As you guys should know, if you're long-time listeners, first-time callers, I was there for their first fight, ladies and gentlemen. I was there when that lion killed that nigga. I was there. I was there in Vegas when they fought the first time. It was a great fight. You know what I'm saying? It was a pretty great fight. I would love to watch it again before the card goes again, because I was on my phone watching the countdown, and they were showing bits and pieces of it, and I'm like, yo, there's not a lot of people in that arena during this fight. I was there, and I'm like not too far from John Morgan, and I can see him clear on my phone, and with this new big dumbass TV I got, I can probably see myself at the fights from years ago with my shiny ass blue jacket on. You know, maybe I can see myself. I want to watch the fight again because it's a good ass fight, but I also want to see. I've been for years trying to see, like, did I ever pop up on screen for any of those fights? I'm real curious just to see if I popped up on screen. And if we're going to talk about this fight, I think both fighters have improved significantly since their last fights, but I feel like Brandon Moreno has improved beyond the reach of where Kai Kara-France is going to get to. All right? I don't know if I said that correctly. All right. I think he's better than what the level that Kai is going to be in this fight. I think he's already too far ahead in his progression and in his MMA journey. I think he's already too far ahead, and I think he's going to be too much for Kai Kara-France in this fight, as he was in the first fight. I think just like the first fight, Kai is going to come on strong in the first round, but then just the pace that Moreno is going to put on him with the speed and the power, I think he's going to start putting it on him as the rounds go along. I think Moreno takes this fight, which should set up the unification fight, the fourth fight between Figueiredo and Moreno. We would then have to hopefully unify those belts if they so choose to. Well, we don't know what the UFC will do. You know, Figueiredo was talking about he's disrespected by this fight even happening, and he was planning to leave the division. So who knows if that fight will ever happen, because he wants to leave the division for whatever reason, but he's injured. He's injured. His fucking manager, Waleed, told the UFC he was injured, and he's fired Waleed for telling the UFC he was injured. Like, it's all kinds of nonsense. I don't know what's going on with Figueiredo. It sounds like malarkey. Also, to start this main card at UFC 277, you got Magomed Ankalaev versus Anthony Lionheart Smith. And see, on paper, Magomed should be able to win this fight pretty easily. I think he's just the wrestling, and he's got pretty decent striking, but I think the wrestling aspect should be what gets it done here. I'm going to pick Magomed to win this fight, right? But let's be honest here. I am 100%, all right, when the song Return of the Mac plays as Anthony Smith walks out, I will at that point 100% be rooting for Anthony Smith to win that fight. So that's just, it is what it is, ladies and gentlemen. I'm picking Ankalaev, but I'm rooting for Lionheart. All right, I'm a big Lionheart fan, and I think, from what I'm hearing, he might be black. I was always curious about. I couldn't really put my finger on what his ethnicity was, but I think he might be a brother after all. He just says he's biracial, and then there's no mention of who his father is. So, like, maybe that to me sounds like some I'm half Muggle kind of shit. You know what I'm saying? It sounds like a half Muggle. That's a mudblood type of shit right there. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah. I'm gonna root for Lionheart, but I'm picking Magomed Ankalaev. It should be a decent card next week. I don't know how many. I don't know if I'm gonna watch a lot of the fights live. There's like the festival, Brady Fest is happening during the fights next week. There are a few local artists that I want to check out that are playing around these stages here. So, since I just so happen to live right here on the block, ladies and gentlemen, since I'm on the block, I may as well just go out there and check out a few concerts. And I can, as I'm saying, go back and rewatch these fights at any point that I choose, that I so choose. But this last weekend, it was actually Thursday, not necessarily the weekend, because, if a movie comes out on Friday, it's usually in theaters the day before on the Thursday. That's when your boy usually go to see the movies. But Nope by Jordan Peele. Jordan Peele's new movie, Nope. It is a... Spoiler alerts here. We're going to talk about this. It's like an alien sci-fi like little movie or whatever, little thriller. It's got homeboy that played Glenn in The Walking Dead. I don't know his real name. Might be like Stephen Wen. But that guy that played Glenn, he's in this movie. They got some crazy shit. I don't even want to... There's no reason for me to ruin this shit. But they got some, just for me personally, this real crazy shit going on with this chimpanzee in there. Real crazy shit going on with this chimpanzee in that movie. I don't need to go into what happens, but I was like, holy fuck. And then later on, because you watch the trailer, right? If you've seen the trailer to Nope, there's certain part in the trailer where you're like, that's one of the aliens. But then you're watching this movie, and then this crazy shit happens, and you're like, holy fuck, I'm a terrible person. That's how I instantly felt, like I was a terrible person. It's wild. I don't want to get into what happens with this fucking chimpanzee, but it's pretty wild, ladies and gentlemen. It's pretty wild. So you got Daniel Kaluuya, who plays Otis Jr. All right? They call him Otis Jr. And his character is Otis Jr., and they call him OJ. His sister, played by Keke Palmer. I forget her name. I forget the name of her character. But I do know that there's a lot of scenes where she'd be like, run, OJ! Run, OJ! And every time I hear the name OJ, I think about O.J. Simpson, naturally. And I brought that up to my wife. I was like, I think Jordan Peele tried to trick white people into cheering for O.J. again. You know how she's screaming, run, O.J. throughout here. He wanted white people to cheer for O.J. And my wife just mentioned, like, well, O.J. drove a white Bronco. Now, in this movie, Nope, there is a white horse that OJ has on his ranch. The characters are ranchers. They have a horse farm. They provide horses, like Hollywood horses, like horse trainers. And he has one horse named Ghost that's like a white horse. But this horse, like, it kind of just comes and goes because, as they mentioned, it's an alpha, and it can't be fully tamed. So when my wife said, like, yo, O.J. Simpson drove a white Bronco, I Googled what's a Bronco, and it says a horse that cannot be fully tamed, which was Ghost. Ghost was a white Bronco. In the movie Nope, the main character is OJ, and he rides a white Bronco. You're not getting that past me, Jordan Peele. You're not getting that past me. OJ had a fucking white Bronco in the movie Nope. That's not going over my head. I don't know if anybody else caught that. There's probably some more shit, but that's what I picked up on just after one watch. I was like, it's crazy how he put OJ with the white Bronco just in the movie. That's fucking crazy. That's touche, Jordan. That's pretty cool there. But I was I would say overall, Nope was a pretty interesting movie. I thought Keke Palmer was pretty dope in there. Daniel Kaluuya, great actor. Yeah, it was a pretty cool movie. I would like to go see it again. It's like over 2 hours. It's 2 hours 11 minutes. It says. I think by the end of it, I was kind of tuned out because I was just like, did I miss something here? Like shit just started getting wild toward the end of that movie. But otherwise, I was fully entertained, except for that movie with that part in the movie with the fucking chimpanzee. That was pretty uncomfortable, ladies and gentlemen. We don't need to get into that. But if you fucking it's a wild ass scene with this chimpanzee in the movie Nope. And if you guys would like to follow this podcast on Instagram and Twitter, it's at Babylon5Pod. You guys can email this podcast at babylon5podcast@gmail.com. You guys can hit that like button anywhere that you're listening to this podcast. If you've made it thus far, go ahead and hit that like button. Go ahead and share this with your friends. Let them know that you love the podcast. Tell them to check it out. Appreciate everybody who has done that. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to fuck up the last name here. And it's Ben Severson of Combat History shouted me out on Twitter, man. I appreciate that so much. All right, that's love right there, man. I appreciate that so much. Shout out to you. Everybody should go follow. It's at combat_history. All right, go ahead and give Ben a follow, ladies and gentlemen. If you guys would like to follow your boy on Twitch, go ahead to twitch.tv/Babylon5. It's twitch.tv/Babylon5. You guys can cop some merchandise by going to teespring.com/store/BOFpod-shop. And lastly, don't just be my Niji, be my patrons by going on over to patreon.com/Babylon5Pod. Thank you guys so much for being here for episode 153. I did a 152.5 like on Thursday because I felt like there was just so much shit that I needed to talk about that I couldn't possibly. Well, I didn't want to wait because I'm talking about the whole Nate Diaz versus Hamzat. If you guys are like, why isn't he talking about that here? It's on episode 152.5. All the fight announcements for like UFC 280, that stacked card. And I did that there, and now this is somewhat of a shorter episode, if you will. I'm like, I probably should have kept all that here. And then I didn't plan on any of that being for that episode. It's just that so much was going on, I felt like I needed to babble. So go ahead and check out 152.5 if you haven't. This episode is 153, and yeah. Thank you guys for being here. This episode is called Simpson because O.J. Simpson drove a white Bronco, and O.J., the main character for Nope, rides a white Bronco. O.J. has a white Bronco. Anywho. Thank you guys so much for being here, as I said, and I hope to see you guys next week. Hope you guys are taking care of yourselves and each other, and I'll see you when I see you. I'll holla.
chant down Babylon kingdom. Natty make we chant down Vatican now. Bang bling chant down Babylon kingdom. Natty make we chant down Vatican now. Chant down Babylon kingdom. Natty make we chant down Vatican now. Bang bling chant down Babylon kingdom. Natty make we chant down Vatican now.